Hello, I'm Bonnie Bay. Welcome to TTC Extra. The new movie musical In the Heights has been released to rave reviews for its cinematography, songs, and positive portrayals of Hispanic people. But some Afro-Latinos have criticized the film for not including many dark-skinned Hispanic characters. The creators of the musical, Lin-Manuel Miranda and Chiara Alegria Hudis, whom we interviewed just a few weeks ago, have apologized for the hurt and frustration the Afro-Latino community has felt. Eleanor Holmes Norton is an apology enough? And you would think a musical that was written by two Hispanics, although they are both fair-skinned, and the movie directed by an Asian man, that they would be hip to racial sensitivities, no?
Yeah, I'm astonished. Nobody could be more multicolored than Hispanics. So it seems to me it ought to be second nature to them to feature the range of their population. Not doing so makes them look more like Americans than Hispanics generally.
Well, and look more like the Heights. You and I have both spent time in New York. I'm from New York. The Heights is all Dominican now, which is a mix of Hispanics and people of African descent. Hilary?
I think that the intention of the performances and the intention of the script was thoughtful. I do think that Lin-Manuel Miranda this week was quite open and sensitive to trying to broaden out the expectations that of his future work, of showing more African American Latinos, and that's really important. And we are in an extremely mixed and intersectional world these days, and I think that the point is that we want our cultural references to demonstrate that in as much as possible. And in particular, when there is so much weight given to any one cultural vehicle, like this movie was perceived to be sort of the first big budget Latino production. And so I think the expectations were naturally high for it. And so being as inclusive as possible, I think is a responsibility you have when there are those kinds of expectations. But every piece of art, every representation is not going to do it. It's the mix of works and the access to things like funding and opportunity and distribution for everyone that will end up changing how we see culture.
Rina, do we think that Hollywood was breathing down? I believe his name is Jonathan Chu, the director's, telling him, make them look white, we'll sell more tickets?
I don't think so. I think this is art, and nobody ever gets anything perfect with art. And I I struggle with this, Bonnie, because in the South Asian community, we have the same problem. Oh, it wasn't the best depiction of our diaspora. Well, it's somebody's intention to go out and put out a great product, or to depict art in the way in which they know it, their flavor for it. And I think Lin-Manuel Miranda, we know him to be an honest person as he goes out and really tries to be inclusive and to show up the best culturally and as a performer and artist. And so I think to be overly critical is to kind of do an injustice to an artist's work. And I do know that there's a cultural change that needs to happen in Hollywood. I'm not saying it doesn't need to happen. I'm saying that what this was a great first step, and we should be critical so that the next time there's a piece of art out there that is for the larger Latino community, they'll get it right the next time. As we go further and further along, you'll see that people will find that the blowback will get them sort of more woke to it. But nothing else can change it so fast. We can't go from here to there overnight, and we should accept somebody's art as art.
We have to acknowledge some systemic racism in our arts education programs. And so unless, dance schools and theater schools and singing schools, like unless they have a diverse population of people that they are training for these roles, there are going to be fewer people available to cast. And I think that, you know, you can't just blame an individual creator, although it is their responsibility ultimately for casting. You want to look at a system and make sure that system is accessible to everyone.
And committed to that too.
Wait a second. I want to throw two anecdotes out there. First of all, let's remember that Lin-Manuel Miranda, who came to fame through his play Hamilton, cast the founding fathers as with African American actors. So why would he have, you know, why would he do that and then come back and make the actors look in this picture look too white? I don't know. But
Exactly.
I
Go ahead.
also have a friend who sang and danced on Broadway, usually backup, not a big name. And she knows him. And she said, what he does is he has his gang from when he first started out. And he makes sure he rewards them for staying with him, and he gets them into all his projects. So it may have been that.
I think that's more likely. And I have to say, let's look at Hollywood overall as a mess. I mean, it's not exactly wonderful for women or minorities overall. They've got their own problems. They're very self-righteous about everything, and they've got to clean up their own mess first. But I think it was about art. And I think I'll defer to Martin Luther King on whether or not we should be as concerned as many are right now. But I will tell you this, I'm looking forward to seeing it tomorrow.
All right. Have a great time watching it. And that's it for this edition of TTC Extra. Please join us next time.